oxy, okay, and how much? 6, okay? They should have 6. So carbon dioxide, okay, this is carbon and this is oxygen, this is oxygen. These are called covalent compounds. And we have looked at covalent compound, their characteristics, okay? These are compounds. You will see that carbon plus oxygen, okay? Carbon, the characteristics of carbon dioxide, okay? Carbon plus oxygen will give you CO2. The characteristics of carbon and the characteristics of oxygen are quite different from that of carbon dioxide. They are all both, these and these are gases, but carbon is not a gas. You understand? Mm-hmm. So the characteristics of a compound formed from a compound formed from the characteristics of a compound is different from its consequence element. Now look at a mixture. A mixture is just one element dissolving in another one, okay? Or like powder form like iron plus sulfur, okay? Not plus, but iron mixed with sulfur, okay? You may have sulfur, iron, each of them like that. They are not chemical bonded, there are no chemical bond between them. So this is a mixture. You can separate them by techniques we are going to do. Or we have sodium chloride plus water. That means sodium dissolved in water, salt dissolved in water. Okay, you have separate sodium ions and chlorine ions. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So the characteristics of sodium chloride and water is the same thing as characteristics of sodium and water. Sodium chloride and water. Okay, there's no chemical bonding. That's why they can be separated physically, not by chemical means. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are going to discuss. So a mixture and a compound are two different things. One is formed through chemical combination, one is just mixing. And what happens is, if it is a solid and dissolved in a liquid, we said the liquid like salt is called what is this? Solution. No, the solute. Oh, solid, sorry, yeah. That is the salt. Sodium chloride. Dissolved in water. Okay? Or we call it H2O. And this is called this? Sorry. Solvent. Salt. And solvent. This is called solvent. Okay? It gives you a solution. Okay? Now, a solid sodium dissolved in water, we said salt is soluble in water. Soluble in water. Now, let's say we put iron sulfide, or we put, let's say, kerosene in water. Will kerosene dissolve in water? No, kerosene will not dissolve in water. We said kerosene or paint is insoluble in water. Okay? And a gram of salt that dissolves in a liter of water is called its solubility. Solubility. You have to note only because they'll give you the solubility of salt in water is this at this particular temperature. At a particular temperature, that's called solubility. This time they can ask in exam. What is solubility at a particular temperature? Sorry, temperature. So this phrase, solubility is the amount of the solute. Okay. If you ask what is solubility, what is solubility, Mr.
It's like how water can dissolve.
If you study chemistry, you have to use this chemical language. That's the difference between an A student and a B student. Okay? The A student and A student, they are going to use chemical language when you describe these things. That's why outstanding students, they learn all these things. Good students, they learn all these things. The mega students, They will just say, oh, it's the amount of sodium dissolved in water. That's it. And they go C. So, it is the amount of solute, that dissolve in a liter of solvent. All these terms are explained. Okay? At a given temperature. At a given temperature. The amount of solute dissolved in a solvent at a particular temperature. This you have to know. And where the salt cannot dissolve, where the solute cannot dissolve in a solvent, it is insoluble. That's why when painters, when they paint, they don't wash their hand with water. They wash their hand with kerosene or benzene. Okay? When they do that, all the paint will disappear from their hand. Why? Because the paint is soluble in kerosene or in benzene. That's why it's called solubility. It is soluble, yeah? So the amount of solute that is soluble in a solvent at a particular temperature is for its solubility. And it also depends on the temperature. Now, let's say you're going to do this, you put 10 grams of salt in 2 liters of water. 2 liters of water, okay? It may also be soluble in it. It may be soluble. It may all dissolve, okay? It may all dissolve. Okay? But let's say you add 20 grams. The same container in it. Same container. Okay, 10 ml, 50 ml. How many? 2 liters of water. All 2 liters of water. Do you think all the salt will dissolve?
Yeah, I think so.
No. If you do, even if you stir, still you see some remnants of the salt at the base. Because it has reached a point of saturation. It's called yes, saturation. This is the point at which no more of the solute can dissolve in the solution. We're going to do this later in the solution, so in the solvent. This is a point. At the point the solute can no more dissolve in the solution. Then you have to do something. In the exam, they give it different temperature. To improve the solubility, what do?
You can increase the temperature.
You increase the temperature by heating. Okay? If you apply heat,
I like the particles to move faster.
Yeah. You apply heat. Yes?
It gives it kinetic energy, so it allows the particles to move faster.
Kinetic energy, okay? Okay? More particles moving faster, okay?
Increase the rate of collisions.
Moving faster. No, you're talking about you're talking about gas. You look at the gas. Okay? You know the Avogadro law, gas. Okay? If you fill a container with gas, you understand? It fills the whole container. Even if you bring a bigger one, it will still the whole container. Because the gas molecules are light. Let's say hydrogen or CH4. Okay? If you want to react these two, if you heat, there will move vibration and the particles will move together, yes? So the point at which saturation is called saturation. Okay? This is called saturation. The amount of solute, in exam they give you a table. Okay? They'll come in the amount of saturation, they give you the solubility. Okay, different temperatures, okay? They give you 20 degrees, 40 degrees, 50, 100, 250. Okay? Okay, it will come down, yeah? So in common that it will be 0. Then it start going up. So 0 will be at the point of saturation. That is, no more of the solute is dissolving in the solvent. Then as you apply heat, it increases solubility in it. That's what happened in the exam. Okay? Now, this solubility can be increased by pounding, making it like if you put you have a big chunk of salt like this, or sand. You put it in water, it may not dissolve quickly. But if you make it in form of a powder, okay, you can
easy to dissolve.
Yeah, that's called. What you do is you increase the surface area.
Yeah.
You increase.
Surface area.
Yeah, you look at this also later. Surface area.
The smaller
That means
object.
there will be more. The water will have more chance to penetrate
Yeah.
the particles. Yes. Yeah, that is called. We look at all this later in different topics. Okay. When we look at rate of reaction, you look at concentration. You look at the surface area. You look at the enzyme. Okay. We look at the catalyst. Yeah, we look at all those things in the various headings. Now, let's look at how to separate the mixture. Let's say you have salt in water. Okay? Salt in water. Okay? Salt and water. Sodium chloride and water. Let's say. Now, imagine you need salt in form of a solid. How do you separate it? How to separate the salt from the water? This is called separation. Okay? And there are few methods. One is called filtration. This is especially when both are in solid forms. Okay? One is in powder, one is in pebbles. You can just put it in a sieve or a filter paper, or you dissolve in water and put in surface paper. The one put it in solid will stay on the filter paper. Okay? There's another one called chromatography.
Crystallization.
Chromatography.
Chromatography. Okay. This is called filtration and crystallization. They together. Crystallization. Okay. You have distillation. Okay. Two forms of distillation. Okay. You have simple distillation and fractional distillation. Okay? And both take advantage of what? Now, if you heat a solution, and the solution, let's say you dissolve some some ink, and some oil or some kerosene, definitely you know that those two compounds have different characteristics. And the characteristics in terms of boiling point. Okay, terms of boiling point. At what point they boil and become vapor. Okay?
Yeah.
Become vapor, like water. At what temperature does water boil?
100 degrees. 100 degrees.
Water boils at 100%. Sorry, 100
Celsius.
degrees
Yeah.
Celsius. Okay? Maybe methane, which is a gas in crude oil, Saudi Arabia don't know for that, crude oil, may just be boiled at 15 degrees centigrade. Okay? Maybe butane there, 20 degrees centigrade. Pentane, these are hydrocarbon found inside crude oil at 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, so that tells you that if you boil them, just at 14 degrees centigrade, when you can even put your hand inside, the methane will start boiling up, yeah? So the other one 20 degrees, the other one 30 degrees. So distillation took advantage of that, the physical characteristics of. Mustafa, tell me, why would you take advantage of the boiling point? Tell me.
Because the lower the boiling point, the less energy we need.
Yes. You know what the boiling point, the less energy will be needed, yes. So if you apply that amount of energy equal to boiling point, what happens?
What?
If you apply that amount of energy, like 14 degrees centigrade, to a solution or to a mixture, if you reach 14 degrees, what will happen?
It will boil.
If it boils, what happens?
It will start melting, it will start changing characteristics.
No. The gas will separate out. That's what I want to hear, the chemical word. The gas will separate out at that temperature.
Yes.
We are going to do crude oil because of distillation. Are you looking at the camera?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah. The gas will separate. The right word is separate. Okay? If you do the exam, you're going to say separate at a temperature of, let's say, 40 degrees. That's what the examiner wants to hear. Okay? The gas will separate out at a temperature of 40 degrees. That's what what the examiner wants to hear. You have to lose the chemical language, the chemistry language. Okay, now, the most difficult one which students don't understand is chromatography. Many students have problem with chromatography. What do you mean by chromatography? Remember the word graph. What's the word graph?
The scale.
Okay, scale in it. Yes. So chromatographic paper, you draw a line and you put. Let me explain them one by one. Okay. Because examiner, one of these will come in exam. They might test you one of these. Either they draw everything and they ask you label it, or they ask you why the line is not going into the solvent. Okay? But chromatography, what makes it different is it takes, instead of boiling point, you take advantage of movement. You realize when you put paper in water, you put paper, let's say you have a paper like this. You have a paper, okay? You put it in oil, basic cooking oil. Cooking oil, okay? And you put paper like this inside. Okay? Let's say you draw with a pencil here. Okay? What do you observe when you put paper in the oil? What happens?
It will start changing.
No.
Like, when you put paper in oil, like it will go like clay, see-through.
No, you'll see the oil moving up until it soaks the whole thing in it.
Oh yeah, like you know celery.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you see it move until it soaks everything in it. So now that's exactly what paper chromatography does. Dip water in a solvent is when you want to separate dye, keeping the dye or in an ink. The dyes in an ink, you want to separate them out. You put different dyes here, make sure that they don't enter into it. Where you put the dye, let's say you put a drop of dye. Where you put a drop of dye, they don't enter the examiner will want to, if you give you an examination on paper chromatography, they will put maybe two diagrams. One they put these things inside the solution, and that's wrong. That's wrong. Okay? It's only part of the paper that goes there, but the dyes you are testing, you draw a line here so that to see clearly that they are not inside the
water.
The
solution.
Yes. The solvent. Okay? The solvent. Okay? This is the solvent. Okay? Now the dyes, one could be red dye, one could be a black dye, blue dye, whatever. Okay? Now, as the solvent moves up the paper, it will come up to where the dyes are. It will move with them. You understand? Now, the distance, yes, in the exam it comes. They ask you, this one moved 16 millimeters. This one moved 32 millimeters. Another one moved 64 millimeters. And they give you which one is the distance it moved in a particular solvent. Then you can determine, because there is a universal characteristic that if a dye moves this one, it's this type of dye. Okay? Maybe it's benzene or it's musk or something. Okay? So the distance with which they move identify what type of dye they are. This is called paper chromatography. And it is used to separate solutions, okay? Dyes, mainly dyes, okay? Like in this pen, what have there is dyes? Ink, okay? In this ink there are dyes inside it. If you do that, they can separate. They can separate. Okay? 30 minutes go to. Now, filtration is the easiest. Filtration. If you have a mixture of sand and water, and salt, okay? Sand, water. Let's say sometimes when they mine sand, when they mine, I can sit down properly, so you take everything, it has to be good quality.
My back was hurting.
So sit down, then. Let's say you have sand, water, and salt. Okay? So look here. When you have sand, water, and salt mixed together, like when they mine salt, mining salt, in Africa they do mining of salt. Okay? And it's a lot of money. Yes. You have to purify the compound you mine. Okay? The material you mine, you have to purify it. So you have to take advantage of filtration and crystallization. What? You dissolve, you put them in powder form, you make in powder form, grind them, and you dissolve them in water.
A solvent.
A solvent, yes? When you dissolve them in water, definitely salt is soluble in
water.
In water, isn't it? But is sand soluble in water?
No.
No.
Insoluble.
Sand is insoluble, okay? So sand is insoluble in water. Okay? But sodium is soluble. Okay? Now what if you do that? The solution already, you filter it. Okay, you put a funnel like this. Okay? Then you put what you call what paper? Okay? What paper do you put there? Musa, what paper you put there?
Paper?
You put the paper inside the funnel. What's it called?
Filter paper.
Filter paper. That's what I want to hear.
Is that this kind of circle paper?
Yeah, filter paper. That has small tiny hole that make difficult for particles to pass through. Okay? Yes. So the sun will stop here. But the salt solution will go in here. So this will be salt and water. Salt and water. Okay. Now since you get your sand away, what are you going to do with salt and water? You have done filtration. This is called filtration through a filter paper. You have done filtration. How do you separate your water from salt from water?
You should heat it up.
You heat that, yes.
Until the water evaporates.
You heat that until the water evaporates. In fact, that's what is called desalinization. Do you know the meaning of desalinization?
Desalinization.
D in English means what?
To?
Reduce. D.
Desalinize. This is to remove the salt in seawater. Then Saudi Arabia did a lot of this, yes? They do remove the seawater. Instead, that's what they do. Although it's very expensive, involve a lot of heating, okay? But where water is an expensive commodity, this might be the solution. So when you heat that, okay, let's say you have your Bunsen burner, you put your salt and water solution and heat it, yes? If you heat it in open, what will happen to the water?
It will turn to water vapor and release into the atmosphere.
Water will vapor. You have to use the right chemistry word. Okay? The water will vaporize in it.
Yeah.
Okay? The water will vaporize in the U here. The water will vaporize. What I left here?
Salt.
Salt what?
Water. Oh, no, solid.
Salt.
Crystals.
Crystals.
We need this with the blue
Yeah,
crystals.
you are left with salt crystals. This is called, what you call this?
Crystallization.
Filtration and crystallization. Okay? You filtrate the solution, then you crystallize. Okay, okay? This is what you call. Now, they can examine you in different ways on this. Okay? Sometimes from environmental point of view, sometimes from cost point of view, whether it is cost effective. Now, let's look at our distillation. And distillation, I might have to do a topic on this because in the exam there is a lot of things. You can do distillation, simple distillation, we mean just like burning, taking advantage of the boiling thing, boiling point. Let's say like this. I'm not very good at drawing. Okay.
130.
You have your
Or
your temperature, okay? Then you have your solution. You boil it in a Bunsen burner. Okay? Now you have a condenser. It's like a rubber on this tube, yes?
Oh yeah, a David tube.
Yeah.
I think it's here.
You can there's a basin here. Okay? Now the water will, this temperature measures the temperature. Okay? Okay? So, now if it is liquid and something else, you maybe need the opening for some of the pressure to go out. Okay? So, if you heat the compound, okay, it will evaporate and move in there, and the condenser will help cool it down, and you have liquid or water drop in here. Okay? So I think we need to see the diagram in the book.
Is it?
An accurate diagram, okay? Okay? Yes, an accurate diagram. Yeah. So, an accurate diagram. It's very difficult to draw, but this is. I think do you want to put the apparatus here? You want to put your apparatus again?
I could see from.
Come, bring the camera closer, please. You can see the various type of diagrams.
This was easier.
Okay? Yeah, this is easier one. Okay? So, what he's saying that is, it is simply you heat it, express seawater, you heat the seawater, and the water will evaporate, and it will go to the condenser, and some of them will go out and will put inside the beaker. Okay? Even fractional distillation. Now, fractional distillation is mostly separating an oil fraction. Okay? Separating an oil fraction. Fractional distillation. Distillation. Take advantage of boiling points. Okay? Boiling point. What is called the point of separation. Point of separation. Okay? Different fractions. Fractions. Different fractions, and most likely used in crude oil. Because crude oil contains different type of hydrocarbons. Look here again.
Yeah, I can see the camera.
Different kind of hydrocarbons. Okay, different type of hydrocarbons. You have methane, which is the gas you find in many tanks. Methane.
Ammonia.
Okay, this is a low carbon chain. Like from C4 C4 to C2 6 or C2 6 or up to C3 can have hydrocarbons. Butane. This is butane. Okay? And then the long hydrocarbons is called bitumen. Okay? Bitumen or tar. You know the road, what they use in the road is a hydrocarbon from crude oil. These are the ones with the highest melting point, and they sunk at the bottom. So they are tar. Okay? So this is crude oil and different type of compounds come out from crude oil. Now you can do it in the laboratory. That's the one will be simple one, yes. That will be simple distillation. But on industrial scale, they do. Yeah, in industrial scale, they do what? They do distillation. Where is fractional distillation?
The only part there's no in that book. There's only in this one.
The book we used last year.
Fractional distillation.
Yeah, this is from the lab. This is at the lab. Okay, this is at the lab scale. I'm looking for industrial one. Okay. The book I used last year. Hold on. At the laboratory level, I think I can draw it, but it's like this. It's called the fractional tower. Okay? Maybe a pipe is here where the crude oil is poured. Crude oil is poured. Crude oil is very thick, just very thick and dark. Fluctuating column. Yes? And down there, a lot of heat like a big furnace. Okay? When it is poured here, okay, it comes here. It pours here. I'm not good at drawing, okay? But what happens is, when temperature is very, the temperature will be highest here.
Yeah.
At the bottom, it lowest here. So, lower hydrocarbon, okay? Lower chain hydrocarbon will separate here. Lower chain hydrocarbon will separate here. Okay? Then the first one, then you have kerosene. You look at it later, okay? And then petrol coming out. Then diesel oil. Depending on how much the chain of the hydrocarbon, diesel oil, and at the bottom will be bitumen, like the tar or tar. Okay, so the heat is highest here. You can say this is 20 degrees centigrade, this is 40 and 60, maybe 80 degrees. It comes to 1000 degrees centigrade. Okay, depending on. So when it reaches here, the lower chain hydrocarbon will go out. The one after that will come out, the one after will come out. So you have different grades of hydrocarbons, okay? Different grades, okay? So this is called fractional distillation. The exam, they can ask you, I've seen many questions on fractional distillation. They ask you at this particular separation boiling point, what will be the likely hydrocarbon that will separate, okay? This is the one that's used in industrial scale, fractional distillation. Okay, in the lab, you can do a fractional distillation in the lab. Okay, I'm not good at drawing, so let me draw it. You know, same thing. You have your beaker. So you have the rubber here.
And the bone.
The rubber here that make this tight. Okay. That's the temperature. Okay. Now, this thing goes here. let's say you have your test tube here. So you can have different test tubes. You can have different test tubes. Okay, you can have different test tubes. Okay, now you have the condenser, which is normal rubber something here. Now you have your, here you have your iron fillings, you see? Why iron fillings? You have your iron filling, but here is this solution. Here is the, let's say the petrol, yes, crude oil, or crude oil substitute, yes, crude oil. Let's see this one, yes. Then this is the hottest part, because the temperature you put in fire in it. Okay, you put in heat. You put in heat, yes. So temperature will be high here, yes. This is highest or hottest part. Hottest part. Okay. Say glass rod. These are glass rods. Okay. This will be the coolest part. And this is the outlet, water. If there's any water, it will go out. But what do you want? You want the oil in it. Okay. And this is the condenser. So he said, if you have got mixture of liquid, you can separate it using fractional distillation. Here in the lab, we do a demonstration. Fractional distillation of crude oil and refinery. You put a mixture in the flask and stick and fractioning column. This is called a fractioning column because different temperatures in it. Yes. Then you heat it. Different liquid will have different boiling points. So they will evaporate at different temperature. So when you boil it, first time you boil it, the liquid, that boiling point is 20 degrees. You go up first. You go up to the heat and go in. Yes. When that finishes, take that one, put another one in it. When temperature increases of 40 degrees, the mixture that boiling point, the consummate of the mixture that boiling point 40 degrees, it starts evaporating it. Okay. Same as you go, 60 degrees as you go. Okay? The liquid with the lowest boiling point evaporate first. When the temperature on the thermometer matches the boiling point of the liquid, it will reach that top of the column. Liquid with higher boiling point will also start to evaporate, but the column is cooler towards the top, so they will only get part of the way up before the condensing, running back down towards the flask. When the liquid has been collected, you raise the temperature until the next one reaches the top. Okay? So basically, this is called fractional distillation. You take advantage of the boiling point of the mixtures inside the mixture. Because we know crude oil contains a lot of hydrocarbons, different types of hydrocarbons. Okay? Methane, butane, pentane, the ones that can use for kerosene, diesel oil, and finally, long hydrocarbon called tar or bitumen. Yes? This is called fractional distillation. Yes? Yeah. I think we have covered all the techniques. We have done paper chromatography. Be careful of paper chromatography because it's very, very common. Okay? Chromatography. Be careful of that. You should be able to explain that it's used to separate dyes. Okay? Separate dyes in an ink. In an ink by taking advantage of the distance they travel. Okay? Distance. Different dyes travel. Dyes travel. This is called paper chromatography. When I was doing GCSE, I found that difficult to understand. Okay? But here you are. Okay, this is called paper chromatography. So we have finished the topic under this. Now we're going to look at difficult part of chemistry. We're going to look at oxidation and reduction. Okay? Titration. We're going to look at acids and bases. We're going to look at mass numbers, molecular mass, and the formula mass, and the moles, concentration, volumes. We're going to look at all those things. Now you know that you don't know chemistry. Because sometimes when students became